Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Phillip, and I'm here because, well, points cards have completely ruined cashback for me, and I want to get into it. But before I do, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube know that what I'm doing is helpful for you guys, and it also helps more people to see the content, so I really appreciate it. There's also a link in the description below if you'd like to join my channel. I have a series of memberships, but the base tier gets you access to members only content, and then the mid tier gets you access to early content on all of my videos. And then the top supreme tier gives you special access to other options, like being able to review your wallet and even visit if you ever are down in Orlando. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into cashback cards and why, well, I don't really enjoy using them. So first off, there are a really ton of really good cashback cards. So I'm actually going to take a look at my first one in my Extra Wallet Pro. And basically, if you would like to save 10% off of any ongoing sale on Extra, there's a link in the description below. But we're going to talk about this Saver card from Capital One first. And so this Saver card is awesome. It gets 3% back on a lot of categories. So that includes entertainment, streaming services, dining, and groceries. This is an awesome card. And then there's also, again in my wallet, the Amazon Prime Visa, which I actually watched and reviewed in a video available here. This one gets 5% back on Amazon purchases as well as Whole Foods purchases, but it also gets you 5% back on grocery purchases made through Amazon. So if you want 5% back on your couch, your desk, your dog treats, and your groceries every week, this is the card for you. It's cashback. Now, there's also other good Robinhood or other good cashback cards. I'm kind of giving you a little bit of a preview. The Robinhood card here gets 3% cash back on every single purchase, everywhere, all the time. So that's a really good card. Now, there's also others like the Venmo credit card. That one gets you 3% cash back on your top spending category, 2% cash back on your second highest spending category, and then 1% cash back on everything else. So this is not a bad one to have in your wallet if you're team cash back. Now there's also the Discover It card. That one gets you 5% cash back on rotating categories each year, and then 1% cash back on everything else. Except it also has a sign-up bonus where you get double cash back. So that becomes 10% cash back on your highest category, and then 2% cash back on everything else for that first year. I'm also going to talk about the Blue Business Cash Card from American Express. That gets 2% cash back on everything as well. In addition to that, there's the Fidelity Rewards Visa card that also gets 2% cash back on everything. Then there's the PayPal debit card, which gives you 5% cash back on your selected category that you have to select beforehand. And that's, of course, a debit card, not a credit card. So, despite the fact that I have, well, an insane number of cashback cards, I really hardly use any of them. And, well, in order to get into why, I have to talk about what I did with my first redemptions with my wife and I traveling. So I kind of won the points lottery on my first go. So last year, I got the American Express Gold Card through Credit Karma, got 60,000 points, and then I also got a 15,000 point offer for the Blue Business Plus, did a bunch of stuff on Rakuten, and ended up quickly getting, close to, 120, 130,000 points. And so for that, I had to look into what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to take my wife and I to a trip that included London and Paris. So what I started doing is I started searching flights from the United States to London, flights from the United States to Paris, and then flights from Paris to the United States and from London to the United States. So between those four options, I was able to find something. And that first option was, basically the best business class redemption I could do, and I only had enough points for one, was Air France business class seats from Paris to JFK for 50,000 points per seat. Now, that ended up being roughly 8 cents per point if you take a look at their cash rate for one-way trips. If you take a look at round trip trips, that ends up being about 2 to 3 to maybe 4 cents a point, depending on how you actually judge that. So 4 to 8 cents per point is kind of an insane redemption. And especially on the American Express Gold Card when you're earning 5 points per dollar on dining and grocery purchases. So I also did a premium Virgin premium economy seat for 12,000 points a seat. And that was kind of crazy. And then later on, for a trip that I took my wife to Europe in March, we actually got 45,000 point upper class seats through Virgin. And again, that saved several $1,000s, and well, it was kind of an insane redemption. And now, of course, this actually happened after the kind of point devaluation that Virgin did. There is still some award availability. You just have to be flexible. I had to fly out of Manchester instead of London, which meant that I actually lost access to the Virgin Lounge in Heathrow. So that was kind of a big deal, but we got upper class seats home for that trip. So these were insane redemptions that ensured that I got an obscene cent per point redemption rate. And it allowed me and my wife to enjoy better travel experiences that we would have, that we never would have paid for that. We never would have had the resources to pay that much money for those seats. So basically, points and miles allowed me and my wife to experience something pretty incredible multiple times. And it enabled us to enhance our travel because I wasn't paying that much money towards those flights. I was able to put that money towards other things like insane hotel experiences and culinary adventures like baking a croissant in Paris. So we know what I don't use and we know why I don't use it. But then the next question becomes, what points or what cards do I use? So for that, we're going to go into our wallet because we're going to talk about first the American Express Gold card. And so that's going to be right here. And that's first in my wallet for a good reason. It has been my powerhouse earner since I got it last year, and it will continue to be that in the future. Now, this one gets 4 points per dollar on dining grocery purchases, 3 points per dollar on airfare, 2 points per dollar on hotels purchased directly through the portal, and then 1 point per dollar on everything else. Now, it comes with a $325 annual fee, and it also comes with a lot of credits, $120 dining credit, $120 Uber cash credit, and then $84 Dunkin' credit each year, and then $100 in Resi credits each year. So that's a really good card. Now, this is going to be another card that's in my wallet that may be interesting to you because it actually appeared in my cashback portion as well. So here's the thing. So this card, despite the fact that it earns very well on dining and groceries, I don't use for that purchase. Well, the reason why is because the American Express Gold card exists, and I'd rather get 4 points per dollar on a card that I currently hold than 3 points per dollar or 3% cash back. However, this one gets 3% cash back or 3 points per dollar when transferred to the Venture card. And it gets those on entertainment purchases and streaming services. So if I'm buying a concert ticket or if I'm going to a baseball game, I'm putting it on the Saver card because that is a great category to have this card. You can also use this for some theme park tickets. Seems like Disney Magic Kingdom in Orlando gets 3 points per dollar for ticket purchases. However, I did find out that Disneyland Paris did not, which was interesting. So I used this one for entertainment purchases and streaming. Next, we're going to talk about the Venture card. And so the Venture card here is, actually I got this through a Capital One product change from the Walmart card. It has a $95 annual fee, but it gets 2 points per dollar on everything. And more importantly, there's no caps to that, which is really helpful. So I use the Venture card for general travel and shopping. And general travel because I don't really have a card that has an enhanced travel multiplier at this time. I did have the American Express Green card, but I since recently upgraded that to my Gold card, so I'd rather have that. So I use this one, which gets 2 points per dollar on everything for general travel categories. I could use my Chase Sapphire Preferred, but this one is kind of more assured. Anytime I swipe this card, it gets 2 points per dollar. Now, I also use the Mesa card for housing expenses and insurance and things like that. So if I go to Lowe's, I pay for this, I pay for that purchase with this, get 3 points per dollar. The pool guy gets 3 points per dollar, and home insurance, property insurance, car insurance gets 3 points per dollar. Utilities get 3 points per dollar. And when I had to pay the guy to fix the refrigerator, that also get 3 points per dollar. So that is why this is going to be on my radar. There is a code below in the description below if you'd like to go ahead and sign up for the Mesa card. That one gets you 5,000 points for signing up, and I also get 5,000 points as well. Now, let's also talk about the big dog, and that's going to be my Platinum card. So this actually, interestingly enough, is in my everyday wallet. And the reason why it is in my everyday wallet is, first of all, my wife and I are actually kind of impromptu trip planners. So one night, actually, we were planning our trip when we were actually at dinner, and we decided, you know what? We're probably not going to do that trip to DC for spring break. Let's go ahead and do a trip to London. So we actually booked that while we were on at the dinner table. And so because I had my platinum card in my wallet, I was able to get 5 points per dollar on those airfare purchases. And so, well, that's enough of a possibility that it's good to be prepared. So that's going to be in my wallet as well. So if you take a look at my categories, I have a catch-all card, I have a dining card, I have an entertainment card, and I have another specialty card for my housing purchases, which I also usually make. And then I also have a travel card as well. So I pretty much have a lot of these things fleshed out in a way that allows me to maximize a lot of different purchases. And if you take a look, there's only one that's cash back, the Capital One Saver card, but because I can transfer that cash back to my Venture card, that actually becomes 3 points per dollar instead of 3% cash back, which is kind of a big deal to me. So it's important to note too that I'm usually frequently working on sign-up bonuses that are really great as well, and that can take away spend from this core setup. For instance, I'm actually looking at, I'm actually working currently on the sign-up bonus for the Delta SkyMiles Business Gold card, and then I'm also working on the sign-up bonus for my One Key card. And so between those two things, they're not terribly difficult to reach. The Delta Business Gold card is $4,000 in spend over 6 months, and the One Key card is $1,000 over 3 months, so relatively easy to get. So I'm still able to put a lot of my spend through this core wallet. So let's take a look at how you can get outsized value by spending your points as well. So first of all, I rarely convert non-hotel points to hotel programs. Whatever I'm actually spending on a Hilton property, I prefer to use the American Express Hilton Aspire card. That gets 14 points per dollar on the card. And then I also get another 20 points per dollar with Hilton for being a Diamond member. So that means that whenever I'm paying for Hilton stays, I get 34 points per dollar. So that is its own separate ecosystem, and it's also in my wallet. So I don't convert, say, Chase points to hotel points, except for maybe if it's a Hyatt redemption. And I definitely will never convert my Amex points to Marriott points unless I'm topping up a free night award. And it's very rarely that I will be converting my Amex points to Hilton points. And the reason I do that is because, well, the easiest way to get outsized value for those redemptions is going to be for international travel, either through premium economy or business class. So when I do decide that I want to fly somewhere, I begin searching for flights in both directions and on different potential dates. So if my wife and I know that we want to travel, say, sometime next March, I look for travel in the entire month of March and kind of figure out what is the best option for us. And then I also keep it open. For instance, I don't really see a lot of difference between flying out of Orlando, Atlanta, or JFK, or Charlotte, or Chicago, because those are one flight away from us, and that's a pretty easy positioning flight to make. And also, I'd rather do that if I can save, say, 70,000 points on a business class redemption. So that's also an option. So flexibility is key. Sometimes you may find that flying on a day or two before or after your originally intended departure date can be all the difference towards making that redemption happen. So let's say you want to fly out on, say, March 14th, but you really find that there's one redemption on the 13th that really can help save you a lot of points and money. Well, it might be worth it to extend out your trip for another day. So that's worth considering as well. Now, there are ways to find flights to Heathrow that have low fees. If you'll notice, British Airways has the highest fees. Virgin Atlantic also has pretty high fees if you're traveling in premium cabins. So you can try different European airports as well, or you can try flying to those airports via American, United. They often will have much lower fees than those actual British carriers. You can also use Cathay Pacific to try to book British Airways flights, although it seems like those fees have been increasing a little bit as well. You can also be flexible with airline programs up until the moment you make that redemption. So in order to do that, you need to make sure that you're keeping your points in your actual ecosystem. So you'll notice, for those of you that are more eagle-eyed, you'll notice I have the Capital One ecosystem and the American Express ecosystem. Now, those two ecosystems have similar transfer partners between Air France, Virgin Atlantic, and a host of others. So I have a lot of options if I want to blend those points together. And so that's why I don't really differentiate between those two ecosystems. So that's important to note as well. Now, what are the reasons that someone would want to use cashback? So here's the thing, with cashback, you know exactly what you're getting. You're not going to get any more, but you're also not going to get any less. With American Express and Capital One, that's not the case. If you want to cash out those points, it's going to be 0.6 cents per point, which means it takes $1,000 or 1,000 points to get $60 in back. So with cashback cards, you know that if I spend on this card, I'm getting 2% cash back regardless of what happens. And so I don't have to work too hard to get that value, which is important. Now, you can also cash out your points and use them for anything, including buying points. So Hilton, IHG, Virgin Atlantic, Air France, they all have these point sales. And so if you actually strategize your cashback redemptions and then purchases, you can actually still kind of get decent points from cashback cards. And then usually cashback cards have lower annual fees. For example, this one has no annual fee. This one also has no annual fee, and neither does this one. So you're able to earn a lot without actually having to pay any of those expensive annual fees, which can really be beneficial. So I definitely understand why people do cashback, but well, I kind of got spoiled by all my redemptions, and well, I honestly prefer the work. It is a puzzle to try to find value in outsized value for these points, but it's kind of a fun game for me, and it gives me something to do, and well, it's a fun puzzle, and I enjoy doing that kind of work for it. So anyway, that's why I am not really a cashback guy, and I have all these awesome cards. Well, I just really don't use that much. But anyway, let me know in the comment section below if you're cashback or points, or kind of what you do. And just as an aside, before I get yelled at too much, I will say that my general kind of exception to the rule is the Amazon Prime card. If I am shopping on Amazon, I'm going to be getting that for 5% cash back. It just kind of is that one exception in my wallet. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, and well, I can't wait to see you guys until next time.